people need to dream big and not get discouraged by those that try and drag them down to their level to make others feel better about themselves.
I'm sure this has happened in a lot of households, but when Derek Jeter was 8 years old, he walked into his parents' bedroom one day, very serious, and he told them that he wanted to be a pro baseball player and play for the Yankees. Now, the parents at that point, they have one or two things they can do. They can kind of like laugh a little bit, pat the kid on and say, yeah, sure, kid, you can do whatever you want, and make a bit of a joke of it and be playful about it, or they can, be serious. And they were serious. They said, you can achieve whatever you want. You just have to work for it. And if you work hard and you dedicate yourself and you do all the right things, of course you can play for the Yankees one day. And of course, that's how it turned out. Derek Jeter turned out to be one of the legends. So it's an interesting thing to, when you hear your kid tell you their story or their dream, do not crush their dream. Encourage it. A lot of people will react the other way. They'll laugh. They'll say, oh, you can't do that. Right. Do you know what the mathematical odds are? And, it is the worst thing. You yourself, Paul, when you were a kid, somebody told your mom that you were going to be a pro athlete or something, right?
Yeah, I was in the third grade, but I was playing in the fifth grade basketball team. So I was, athletic, good player at a young age. And my mom told me this after the fact, but the coach of the team, the fifth grade team, told my mother, your son Paul is going to be a professional athlete, just like that. Right. And my mother told me that.
Yeah.
And so that helped me build belief. And
right.
My parents were always super supportive of me, encouraging,
Yep.
Wanted the best for me. So I think that statement by a third party that didn't know me that well gave me the confidence and belief
that you could do it.
Set me on my course to work hard, to do all the things you need to do, because it was really important to me and I loved it. It was fun.
Yeah. I think that what I love about the Derek Jeter story is that his parents not only didn't crush his dream, but they gave him a little bit of a game plan for how to achieve his dream, which is to go out and do the work and do the right things and stick to it and be consistent. And that's what he did. And that's how he actually achieved his dream. A lot of times a dream is, again, I think people don't take it seriously. So they say, yeah, of course you can do that. But then they don't really follow it up with the things that you need to do to achieve that dream. So it's one thing to dream. It's another thing to make that dream into a reality, but actually going out and doing something about it.
The question is, how important is that
100%.
to you?
Right.
How much does this mean to you?
Right.
So when your buddies are off goofing around,
Yeah.
you're in the gym shooting, you're taking hitting practice, you're running, you're doing training, you're improving your craft.
You spent your summers throwing every summer. That's what you did.
I grabbed a receiver, and we would go through the route tree, and I had to hit 10 out of 10 perfectly to my expectation level before we moved to the next route. And if we didn't, we'd start over. Yeah.
I love sports. I do. But I have to be very honest with myself. I didn't love training. I didn't love practice. I love just getting into a game and playing, and that part of it. I love.
And that's okay.
Yeah, it is okay. But it's why my skill level hit a plateau. Because I didn't go out in the summer while you were at the beach, or I was at the beach. That's the point. That's the point. While you were out on some field throwing balls, I was at the beach because I was having fun with my buddies and I'm body surfing and enjoying the Southern California lifestyle, which was great. I wouldn't change it for anything.
Right.
But I have to be honest with myself when I say I loved it, but I didn't love it enough to do the hard things that you have to do that people don't want to do if they don't really love it. They kind of love it, but they don't really love it.
And that's the litmus test.
That is the
How
litmus
much
test.
do you love it? That would be the question I asked my kids when they had some adversity or some challenge that was confronting them.
Right.
I would ask them that, how important is this to you?
Right.
And if it's important enough, no matter what the issue is, what the sport is, what the career is, what the challenge is, you'll do what you have to do to get there,
right.
to make it through. Yeah. And I I loved it. I mean, I was always a practice kind of guy. Of course, I wasn't like banging heads with linemen in practice, so that wasn't, to me, that's not a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But throwing the football around and reading defenses and doing the cerebral part of it, that was really fun for me to do. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. So kind of like therapy. And I had that thing out there that was a seed planted in me at a very early age that this is where I'm going. This is the path I'm on.
Yeah.
And fortunately for me, it worked out. But to your point, it doesn't work out for everybody.
And that's where I was going to take it next. So in this day and age of sports where it used to be, when we were kids, you played football or soccer in the fall, basketball in the winter, baseball in the spring, and then you had the summer off, and then you did it again the next year. And then eventually when you got to high school, maybe you got more serious. Now, at a very, very young age, kids specialize. I'm a club soccer player, I'm a club basketball player, or whatever. And it becomes all about that. And it becomes all about chasing that elusive scholarship, which is what a lot of kids are doing, and their parents.
That's the carrot.
And so I think the challenge with that is it only becomes about that rather than A, enjoying it, and B, no fallback plan. They put all the eggs in that basket. Like, you were a really good student.
Yes. Oh, yeah. No, I took it one step at a time. I think I finished 11th in my class out of 385 kids in high school.
Yeah.
I didn't know I was going to get an athletic scholarship.
Right.
My parents didn't have any money to pay for me to go to school. So I had to get some kind of academic thing. Same thing in college. I didn't start thinking about the NFL until my senior year.
Yeah.
Senior year.
Yeah.
As a freshman, I was just glad to be there. I was like, wow, how awesome would this be if I can get on the field for the USC Trojans?
Right.
I think everyone's like so far ahead of the game today with where they want to be, instead of just being right here, right now, and taking one step at a time.
Yeah. And so back to the parent who has a kid come up to him and give him this big, elusive, crazy, huge dream that the parent knows realistically maybe not be possible because the mathematical odds are against you. You don't want to crush that dream.
Genetics could be against you.
It could be a lot of things. I mean, like, just math is against you.
Yeah.
Like, so many people, one out of them, I don't know the exact number, but thousands and thousands of people, one of them make it and the rest don't.
Tens of thousands.
Yeah, so you know the odds are against, so you don't want to crush the dream. But what you do want to do is you want to give them a balance, right? So I had a kid come up to me after I gave a talk at a local elementary school, and he told me he's going to play in the NBA. And he was absolutely certain, I'm going to play in the NBA. Now, what do I tell this kid? Well, I don't know if you're going to play in the NBA, kid. Come on, you're 10. How good are you? Really? Let's go. I'll take you out right now. Let's play. Look, I have no idea how good or bad this kid was, but it's not my place to tell him he's not going to play in the NBA. But what I thought quickly is, well, how do I also help this kid create some balance, right? So I said, well, when you get to the NBA and you make all that money, what are you going to do with it? And the kid's kind of looking at me. He's 10, so he's like, I don't know what you're talking about, mister. I'm going to buy a house, whatever. But I said, look, you can also be an amazing businessman. A lot of athletes like Kevin Durant and LeBron James, they've gone on and they've invested in technology. They've started media companies. They've done all these things because they were able to do it because of the basketball, because they play in the NBA. That's what you want to be. You don't want to just be an NBA player. You want to become a titan of industry. You want to go out and take that and turn it into something way more, but you can't do that without your education. So you got to do good in school while you're becoming an NBA player.
Great advice.
And and then the kid, now it's like, okay, so without me telling the kid, hey, this is your fallback plan, your education.
Right.
I just gave him this fallback plan. Like, and I don't know if he, I met him for a minute. I don't know if he listened to me, if he didn't, but that's the way you approach it. Is like, yes, it's this big elusive dream. Go chase it. But don't make it only about that.
I think it's the knowing who you are, knowing your innate gifts, and education. We're constantly learning.
Right.
You're learning every day.
100%.
I'm learning every day. Yeah. There's so much out there, and if you don't put time and effort and focus on just learning,
right,
and that's part of the whole education process, right? Learning new things.
Yeah.
Then you're not going to go very far in life.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I think a lot of people put a big thing on the certificate that you get, the diploma, which is obviously nice to have and important, but it's really about setting yourself up to be a learner, to be curious, to be somebody who's growth oriented. You have a goal, you go toward it, you learn, and you get to it, and then that should never stop. It shouldn't stop because you're 22, 23 years old, now you've got a diploma you can hang on your wall. You should want to learn the rest of your life, because as you're learning and as you're curious and as you're growing, you're exponentially giving your chances of success much higher because being that curious learning person.
And you and I wrote a book together. I remember I was pretty much an A student, but I always got B's in English. That was my worst subject.
Yeah.
But I was curious. I was interested in the area that we talked about in the book so much that I just dove in. In. And that love and that curiosity got me to the point where we wrote the book together.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so it's funny because we ended up forming a great partnership. I really love storytelling. You had created all these great life wisdoms through all the stuff that you did and learning about the thought process of your life. And we took that together and created a book. And I learned from you as I was helping you write your book. So it was, through you, I think become a better person because I've learned things that I didn't really think about that much before until we met. So yes, it's never too late to learn.
No, it's never too late. And that's the backup plan for everybody. And that's what's going to happen no matter, the athlete life will end.
Right.
At some point for every single athlete.
Yeah.
It could end before high school.
Yeah.
I encourage everyone to play high school sports because I think sports are like the common denominator. You learn so much from sports.
Being on a team is great.
Or end in high school, or end in college, or those few souls fortunate enough to play and get paid for it. And it's going to end. And the next question is, who are you, and what do you do now?
Yeah. No doubt. And we live in a society right now where, this big new term that everybody talks about every day is AI, right? And what's this AI going to do to my job, my career, and whatever? And so it's scary, right? It might eliminate what you do for a living. Mm-hmm. But that has been the story of time forever. There's always been a new invention, a new technology, a new something that replaced what people had done, and they adapted. And the ones who succeed are the ones who are able to learn and move on and not be stuck in what they used to do and saying, well, I can only do this. Because if you are only stuck in what you can do, if that changes, and it doesn't even have to just be sports, it could be anything, you're in a tough spot if you're not able to adapt and move on.